if you're like me, you've purchased a lot of stencils, however you don't have any stencil storage or places to hang them, to see them, to visually know what you have so that you actually get them out. And so as I was watching videos on creating an art studio, I found this woman, and I'll put the link to her video where she talks about how she used J-hooks. She attaches J-hooks to her stencils, and she hung them on a spindle. I didn't have a spindle, but what I did have was I had these old shelving units from the former, it was a sewing room in the house. The previous owner used it as a sewing room. When we purchased the house, we ripped all those shelving out and put in other shelving for stamping, and so I've had these in my unfinished basement for a number of years. And so the original plan was to put them on a valet from IKEA. That didn't work out because the hanger was too thick, and so I got this out, and it is positioned in the bookcase. The owl clock sits on it and holds it down, and it holds all of my stencils, and I have them organized. I've got bubble wrap stencils, I've got pieces of stencil, and then I've got stencil here from various artists that I like. And so if you too are struggling with how to display or store your stencils, watch the video on how to create it. It's super easy. Thanks for watching.
I purchased these J-tags plastic hanging tabs for $12.99 for 300 of them on Amazon. They arrived quickly, and now I'm taking them out of the package and taking a look at them to see how they're going to adhere to the stencils. They're plastic, the white piece comes off, and then you just place them on the stencil where you want them to hang. So I went and gathered up my stencils, brought them over to my table, and now I'm affixing them. When looking at the stencils, you need to decide if there is a place for the tag. And ideally, you want the tag to be halfway between the ends of the stencil so that they hang a little bit balanced. And so you'll see that when I look at them, I'm looking for center placement. For the skull, I wasn't sure, so I placed it off to the side to look at again. For the flower, I rotated it because on some of your stencils, you're going to use either the bottom or their sides. Again, it doesn't really matter, just as long as you can visually see the stencils, but make sure that they can be hung in the middle. On this next stencil, I had to be careful not to cover up any of the holes, and so you'll see here that I select the J-tag, take the J-tag off, and I affix it to the stencil, and then I'm actually going to show you where you shouldn't place it. And that would be right there. Sarah's stencils are fabulous in giving great space, and so I found the location so that it's hanging right way up. I placed the tag on and I put it to the side. The next stencil is probably one of my most used stencils, and unfortunately I could not locate a place for it, so I put it to the side. On this map stencil, I just circled it around, moved it around to find a piece of what would be the land, and found or placed the stencil there, or the J-clip rather. And I completed the process through the rest of my stencils. I started with the 12x12s, I went to my 6x6s, and then my smaller ones. It was a fast, easy project. Completing all of my stencils took less than an hour. Once I actually had the stencils completed, then I actually arranged them on the shelves. On my smaller stencils, like the 3x2s, what I did was I collected them by designer and placed them in Ziploc bags and placed the J-tag on the Ziploc bag. And it's not pulling or ripping, and it hangs fine. Some of the inner pieces of stencils, when you get the stencil pieces, like for the silhouettes, I placed all of the human body type in a bag and placed a tag on. And then the other pieces, like for nature or for shapes, I put them in another bag. And I just completed this. This was an incredibly easy project, and no muss, no fuss. It looks fantastic and it's organized, and I can visually see my stencils. And there they are, all on the shelf, and they're holding up. And I hope that you too try this.